hello and welcome to the show to Claire Wise. How you doing, Claire?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm very excited.
What, to do this or about something else?
Yeah, definitely.
Good, that's always good that people are excited to be on the show. So you are the internal recruitment manager at Mark Allen Group, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Always nice to know for people that don't know you, or maybe they're few and far between because you're very active on social media. Tell us about what that means, internal recruitment manager, and also tell us a bit about Mark Allen Group, please.
Okay, so I've always been within media, sales, events, publishing, and started as a classified sales exec on Farmers Weekly back in the day.
Obviously.
Which is great because we bought Farmers Weekly in Feb 2020, so that was always good. So home from home.
Yeah.
I've seen the business flourish over the years. I was an external recruiter for quite some time, 5-6 years, recruiting for many businesses across events and publishing and media. But I really found myself being quite drawn to the Mark Allen Group. I don't know what it was. It was just, they were just really welcoming. I really believed in what they stood for. It's a family-run organisation, but it's still got that, that heart there, if that makes sense. It's professional, not corporate. I just found that I felt like an extension of their company. I felt really included, and obviously I was able to recruit, really well for them because of the fact that I got to really know them over the years, which was great. And then I received a call beginning of last year just to say, right, we're acquiring more, we're doing more. We've now got over 100 brands, we've got over 100 publications, 250 events across 5 continents. We need to rein this in and bring it in-house. Are you up for the challenge? And I just thought, wow, definitely. And then got off the phone and thought, wow, that's going to be scary because I've been furloughed for a little while, and I had a little bit of a moment of
got to get back to
I'm like, can I do this? We've just been described as Europe's fastest growing B2B organisation, and they want me to look after it. It's like, okay. But it was a great opportunity for me to come and join a business that I basically had the longest job interview for ever, considering I've been recruiting for them for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. And just tell us a bit about the business in summary, what it does, please. You mentioned events, but I know also you're involved in publications.
So I reckon we've got around 470 employees across 5 offices around the south and the south east area. And we've got 7 companies within the business that range from healthcare to engineering to agriculture. As I said before, Farmers Weekly, lots of different business titles, and as well as the publications and the subscriptions side of things, we run events and exhibitions as well. So we're all about, in a nutshell, providing information to our audiences across lots of different mediums.
Sure. Thank you. And it's interesting for people that are listening, and also I think particularly at this time as we've come out of the pandemic, lots of people have chosen to change their focus in their careers, right? Change roles. Now, obviously you said you were in sales before, and then you were at Job Finder, and obviously now you're doing this. What advice would you give someone that's sort of maybe listening to this thinking, they've got an opportunity to do something completely different? But they're a bit fearful because that's natural, right? As humans, we're always fearful of something. What advice would you give to them?
Do it. Just do it. Honestly, life's too short. Just do it, because what's the worst that could happen? It goes wrong. You learn from your mistakes, and I'm a big fan of making sure that you see a bigger picture when it comes to candidates.
Sure.
But absolutely do it. And, we've had people join the business who did want to change their career. We've had people who have left the business because they've discovered that actually that passion they had outside of work is something they want to pursue and do full time, and fully support that. But absolutely do it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. Good advice. So you've been in post, shall I say, as the internal recruitment manager for, I guess, just over a year, maybe
Yeah.
15 months. Yeah. And I read somewhere, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that the business has recruited over 100 new staff, which is a significant number and a fantastic achievement. So congratulations. Because obviously it's not as simple as just speaking to 100 people and having 100 success rate, right? I guess you probably had to screen, speak to 1,000 people, even if not more. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you think you've been successful in achieving that, shall I say, over that relatively short period of time?
So when I joined MAG, there was no recruitment process involved in place at all.
Right.
And I was given the freedom to recruit how I feel we should be recruiting. And that was quite brave of them as well.
Sure.
Because obviously it's a growing organization. We had 3 acquisitions during the pandemic alone.
Yeah.
And they trusted me to do that. So in return, I made sure that recruiting was as transparent as possible. And by doing that, we were able to be really successful when we were looking at filling new roles, when we were looking at replacing roles, as I mentioned before. Sure. And I do feel that being really transparent with everyone, hiring managers, candidates, and keeping the communication open is how we did it, for sure.
And I guess also you would have had to have various structures or put in various structures and systems maybe in place, because having hired people myself, it can all get a bit time consuming. You're trying to do your own job. Then you're trying to speak to candidates. So there's nothing worse than then letting, a candidate sit around for a few weeks. Yeah. If nothing, it's a bit rude. So did you sort of implement new pieces of technology, or were there different processes? Just give us a flavor of what
Yeah, absolutely. So as any good recruiter knows, as long as you use your ATS and you use it well, happy days. So yeah, we've got a fantastic ATS applicant tracking system in place where we offer a candidate experience.
Okay.
So long gone are the days where you just send a CV. I mean, I don't even make it compulsory to upload a CV anymore. It's an application process. So from start to finish, that candidate is aware of where they are in that process, that we communicate with the candidate, whether it be myself, whether it be the hiring manager, whether it be, the wonderful HR team. There is always some form of communication. There's an option to connect and have the latest information and be alerted to new roles that come out from the Mark Allen Group. But technology has definitely evolved. Like I say, long gone are the days where you pop an ad up and you hope for the right application. No, that doesn't happen. But using your technology and using it well and making the experience easy as well, because no one wants to sit there and upload their CV and then be asked to basically input the details of the CV in an application form. I mean, who wants to do that?
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned the word experience and communication, because you sometimes read on socials or have conversations with people and they say, the recruitment process is still stuck in some companies is stuck in the dark ages. It's a bit of a broken process. The balance of power is still heavily, or thought to be heavily, weighted towards the company that's recruiting, forgetting that possibly more so than ever, candidates are being a bit more discerning about the roles that they're looking at. And actually, you make a really good point. The experience they have during the recruitment process could turn them on and off a role they thought they were interested in. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they say the war on talent. There is no war. The candidates have won. Hands down.
That's a great soundbite. I'm using that.
There is absolutely no war at all. They won hands down. And you're absolutely right. We do need to make sure that the candidates, they want so much more now.
Sure.
And we do need to make sure that communication is open, even if it is an automated, message that says, thank you for your application. That's how, I use my system. You can't beat the personal touch.
Yeah.
But the technology can assist you in making sure that those modes of communication are kept open.
Yeah. Makes sense. So we're going to talk about the process a bit more. And you recently posted, I believe, this quote: "Hire for potential and don't fall into the experience safety trap." With regards to, I guess the types of people that you might be bringing on board. Can you just bring that to life? Explain that a bit more. What do you mean by that, please?
Yeah, of course. So don't get me wrong. There are roles that really do require experience. I am not going to go to a doctor based on their potential. Never.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate, and there are roles that I am recruiting for. We do need an element of experience to bring to the table. However, the recruitment community is a big community, and I am, an active member in lots of different groups supporting other internal recruiters because, I am on my own in some respects, and so are other internal recruiters. But, we are part of a huge community where we can share best practices. I do see a lot of recruiters who are struggling to hire. And they're going round and round in circles, wondering why they can't hire for certain roles. And the same with some hiring managers when they're recruiting directly. And the problem is they're falling into I need to find someone who has X amount of experience. I think we're at the stage now where we've dropped you need to have a degree.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you don't need to have a degree for certain roles. I don't have that on any of our roles that we have.
I still see it. And you know what, just as an aside, what I saw the other day, I was looking at something and it was a senior role, and right at the bottom it said, must be proficient in Microsoft Word. I was like, I don't know if that's just been carried over from a job at 30 years ago. It was just like, what?
Yeah, and that's just lazy job writing, quite frankly. That's just lazy. And that also sort of sits into the candidate the experience trap, as it were, because it's easy to go to the default of must have a degree, must have this amount of experience, blah, blah, blah. It's a bit lazy in some respects, but don't get me wrong, you need it with some roles, and you really do. However, if you are fishing in the same pond, looking for that same X amount of experience, you are not fishing in a very big pond at all. Yeah. And also you're decreasing your ability to hire a more, diverse candidate too.
Absolutely.
Because you're looking for exactly the same. You're repeating the process over and over again. So I really do believe that potential is the key words when it comes to recruiting some of those difficult hires.
Yeah, and I guess you also have to have that conversation internally, right? Because I guess, you might have a sales director who wants to get a sales exec, and they have a very definite view of the person they want. And I fall into this trap when I've hired. You end up wanting someone that mirrors you, right? So if you're like more assertive and aggressive salesperson, that's what I want, right? If you're a bit more passive and consultative, that's what I want. So do you, as the internal recruiter, actually have to say, look, you may know what you want, but actually it might be better to have this. And actually the market at the moment, you're going to struggle. You might be waiting around for 2 years to get that, if at all, to get that person. So how about this approach? Are you having those conversations internally?
Absolutely, day in, day out. And that's something that's been, I've been so happy with how everyone has really listened to how I've suggested we recruit. Yeah. Because it's easy to fall back to those defaults. It really is. And I get that, because if I was looking for someone to come and work in my team, I would kind of think, it'd just be easy to say X, Y, and Z. But, recruitment has never been easy. And that's that. But you have to be open. You do have to look at the market. You have to, I keep, my big thing is work with the market, not against it. And it's soon quite obvious when that hiring manager perhaps does fall back into that, because that role will be open for a very long time.
Sure.
And we can pull the stats and show as to why. But, so many hiring managers have taken that on, and, I'm paid to manage the recruitment process.
Sure.
that's what I'm on the front line. I'm living and breathing this. So when I, highlight this is what we're working with, it's kind of in your interest to listen to that.
Sure, makes sense. So if we're not hiring on experience alone for certain positions, and you've got, 10 potential candidates who have applied for a role, what are you looking for? Because actually you could say, well, it's easy if I just look at experience, because then I can sort of, suggest that these people aren't right. But we said the reasons why you need to look at things, not just experience. So how do you sort of filter? Do you speak to everyone for at least a few minutes? What's if someone's listening, what's the process you go through at the moment?
Yeah, so we tailor the application process for each role. So it might be that we need someone who can clearly demonstrate, that they are a solid multitasker, and that they can, they're really great at organizing. So it might be that we ask them, just to share previous examples, something they've done in their personal life, in their previous role. So we can look at and cue the buzzword transferable skills.
Yeah.
Transferable skills. So we have to, dig a bit deeper, ask more questions, and make sure that the application process helps us to unravel and find those transferable skills as well. So we can make sure that, we don't want to then throw the candidate in the deep end because of the fact that, we think they can do it, because they might have shone doing X, Y, and Z in another role. We want to make sure that they're fully equipped and, looked after when it comes to developing those skills and transferring those skills over.
Sure.
But yeah, transferable skills. There's lots of tech out there that you can use. The old school psychological metric testing, but that's definitely developed. I was only at a conference last week, the In-House Recruitment Conference, which was a day dedicated to talking about technology and recruitment. And this was a huge element of that, and how, we don't even necessarily have things in place to help us with, hiring neurodiverse candidates, which is a huge area that has so much untapped talent. And hiring managers sometimes, generically, hiring managers sometimes a little bit scared to tap into an area that they're unsure about.
Sure.
So again, as the internal recruitment manager, I need to make sure that the hiring managers feel looked after, the candidates feel looked after, and we can make sure it's a good pairing.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting you say that, because, from the outside looking in, one person might, assume that, well, it's just a case of getting the CVs in, having a quick scan, speaking to them, and, you're sort of bringing people on board. But obviously it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Talking about the candidate and how they should apply and how I guess they should stand out. And this has been, the same forever, I guess. Yeah. How do you stand out in an application process? Give us some sort of best practices. If someone's listening to this, they want to apply for a role at your business or another business, and there might be lots of people applying for the same role. What are you looking for over and above some of the things we spoke about? But I'm talking about maybe the way they present themselves. Just give us a sense of what sort of make the cut.
I think it's quite simply, don't have a one-size-fits-all CV that you scatter out and hope will stick, because it's really obvious to the person reading it if you have just sent out my generic sales CV and you haven't tailored it to the role that you're applying for. Because 9 times out of 10, if you've just sent a generic CV, that's probably why you've not got an interview. It's really obvious. The simplest of tips: don't forget your contact details. Nothing more infuriating than seeing a fabulous candidate who forgot to put their contact details on there.
Makes sense.
Put the good stuff at the top. Don't wait until page 2 or 3. Go straight in with the headlines, and the transferable skills, your achievements, and the stuff you're really proud of that makes me go, I want to talk to you.
What about cover letters? Are they still on vogue? Are you interested in those? They make a difference?
To be fair, like CVs, they are not mandatory when it comes to applying for a role here at Mark Allen at all. Some of the senior roles, we recently hired, publishers, head of content, and there is an option to upload a cover letter, but it's never compulsory. We definitely do see the more senior the role, and I think they're appropriate, but no, it's never, compulsory to upload a cover letter for a first job.
And in the last year, or maybe before that, at your previous role, can you give me an example of a really innovative application that's like, I don't know, someone might have sent a video in, they might have done something really spectacular, like really different that stood out? Anything that sort of springs to mind?
Yeah, actually, there's this one lady, and forgive me, I can't think of her name, who applied for a role to work with a personal and company branding company, and to get the attention of the hiring manager, the MD. She created her portfolio in 9 screenshots that sat on her phone, on her Instagram account. And that is so relevant.
Yeah.
So there were 9 pictures on her phone.
Yeah.
And she screenshot that, sent it as a message across the socials. It's basically showing her skills on the first one, her experience on the second, some of her posts on the third, her contact details on the fourth. And it really stood out because that's so appropriate. But there are so many different ways now to apply for a role. Again, if you want to upload a video, you are more than welcome. Some people love talking and speaking to people, whereas for some people, it's their worst nightmare.
Yeah.
So again, nothing is ever mandatory because, the people that we're looking to attract here, everyone's so different, and what suits one person is perhaps the idea of a nightmare for another person.
Sure. So in summary, tailor your application to the role that you're applying for, and if you've got ways to be innovative, then go for it. Thank you. What is the market like at the moment in terms of recruitment? And feel free to get into specific disciplines. So, we come through the pandemic. I talk to lots of people you read, especially in the events industry. There's been a mass sort of migration out of the industry. People that got let go haven't come back for whatever reason. How are you finding things at the moment?
It's really competitive and it's extremely busy. I'm sure lots of other media event organisations are finding the same things. I think it's really encouraging to see that, yes, whilst there are a lot of people who left the industry, there are a lot of people coming in. And again, this is where we need to look at the potential, because when you think about it, if you were to put up an event exec role and ask that person to have 2 years experience, how would they have done that?
No.
And tell me how you did that if you did.
They'd actually have to then have 4 years experience, because 2 years. Okay.
Exactly. And that's a really obvious thing that sometimes you forget. Like, where would they have had on-site experience in the last 2 years? Really? Maybe they've had some really recently, so 6 months, but you need to think about what you're asking. But I it's busy, it's competitive. Candidates have never been more sure about what they want, and good for them. They are in the driving seat, and they've never been more sure. It's not all about the money either.
Yeah.
Whilst, that helps, don't get me wrong.
Of course, they tell you that, and it obviously is.
Yeah, exactly. You lied.
It's really not about the money, Claire. It's about the money, how much you want. No,
exactly.
Cool.
But
talk to me about that. If it's a thin market, right, and someone's got a choice of 2 companies, what are the sort of things that people are asking for and that you're offering outside of salary that you're finding makes a difference?
Oh, that's a really good question, because at some point the salary market it's gonna go back to being sensible again. It will, and people will still be asking, what else is out there? And as I said, it's not always, jokes aside, about the money. Sure. It's the flexibility. So we are offering a hybrid way of working. So we are in the office a couple of days a week. So again, that gives the person the ability to have that freedom of where they work. They can work 5 days in the office if they want. Some people need to, move out of that, spare room space, and they need to go and sit at their desk and they need to interact. And especially with new starters as well. We do encourage new starters, first time jobbers, second jobbers. We really encourage that interaction there because we want to make sure they're looked after. But we provide so much training, learning, development. There's always something that's being released that you can sign up for. I went on a marketing training course the other day because I actually felt I could get something from that for some of the social stuff that I do. I'm not a marketeer. I don't have a marketing degree, but I signed up for that because I thought that would benefit me. It's also, the wellness side of things. We want to make sure that we can be as supportive as possible. I also find that candidates want to know what we're doing as a business to give back. So something that we're really proud of, we have a dedicated ED&I group, which, funny enough, is all about, how we can be a more diverse and inclusive employer. And off that group, we have a group called MA Pride, where we reach out and you can be an ally for the LGBT community, which is a great group to be in. You can be your true self. We have the Gender Equality Network again, which isn't all about women. It's about paternity leave and how we can have that balance too. We have the MA Foundation, which is a charity that supports two charities which we raise money for. So again, it's not all how much is this salary offering. It's a bigger picture. It's how can we look after you, how can we support you, and how can we develop your career, and what else is there out there.
So culture, I guess, if I was to sort of put one word around it, is important. You're finding for people when they're looking to join a business. I mean, you would have thought that's always important, but I think the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, people have thought harder about where they want to work and where they want to put their time, right? So how do you, and again, coming back to my original question, or one of my questions, that you hired so many staff in the last year, what sort of things do you put in place to build a culture? I don't know whether it's team away days or sort of gathering. What other things can you just sort of bring?
I mean, pre-COVID, there were lots of events, and Mark Allen himself hosted a summer party at his house, which everyone was invited to.
Must have a big house.
I know, and Mark, if you're watching, I'm looking forward to getting that invite.
We haven't been yet. Of course, that was
exactly.
Right. We're all going around to Mark's house. Fantastic. Got it here first.
But things such as face-to-face, away days have been reintroduced. So we had our sales day in London last November, which was incredible. And again, it's really beneficial for salespeople starting in their career. To be able to feel part of the sort of sales community as well. We have a marketing one coming up in the summer. We're launching our sales academy. So again, really supporting first-time, second-time jobbers who want to thrive, be at that next level, as well as all of the online stuff. We still have a monthly Cobra-style meeting. Where heads of departments come to the table, share what's been going on, best practices. And, I will do that too. I discovered that we should be doing more of this while we're recruiting, and we've done really well because we've done this. We need to tweak this. So again, we still have that online side of things and check-ins, but ultimately, we have got that balance back now, I think, with being able to reintroduce events and a good lunch. It's nice to be able to go into the office and go for a lunch with your team.
That's it. Like, we talk about return to physical events, and you can't replicate that sort of serendipitous moment of being at an event where you just, I don't know, have a chat with someone at the water cooler. It's the same with being in the office. Being in the office is an event, right? To a certain extent, you're bumping into people you might not have met or you haven't seen for 3 days. They've been on holiday. Very hard to do that at home. So personally, I think it's really important that people are in the office, at least for a good part of the week. I want to talk about your use of social media and the MAG series that you implemented and introduced, which I think is really great. I've seen a lot of it, and it's dare I say, entertaining as well as informative.
Oh, good.
Which is great because, you know, I guess tell me about it. What was the reason?
Okay.
Well, just explain what it is and the reason for doing it, please.
Yeah. So Mag Meets is a series of short episodes. They're only 8-9 minutes long, and the purpose of these is to pull back the curtain, show who we are, show who the people are. And it's all well and good me saying, you know, Mark Allen Group's a really great place to work. It's a great place to be. You know what? I'm going to step back and I'm going to let the people actually tell you in their own words. And I've spoken to people of all levels of seniority. So Mark Allen was, you know, he was the premiere, the debut, and it had to be Mark. I've had chats with Ben Allen. I've spoken to people across marketing, sales, people within our MA Pride group, Gender Equality Network group, all different levels. And it really does give you an insight to us as a business and who we are.
Sure. And I think it works really well. It really, really does.
Yeah.
Like just from a sort of someone else looking at it from the outside.
Yeah. It also helps in the respect that when I'm recruiting and we are in a really passive market, what is it, 80% passive or something ridiculous?
Yeah.
People actually feel like they know us already a bit more. They know who I am. Yeah. And they know that I've said over and over again, approach me. It's fine. Go for it. Send me a DM and get in touch. Yeah. And they already feel that they know us as a business and they know me as a person. Yeah. And also it is great for current employees to see it too.
And it's such it's such a great and free way to do that. I know it takes you a bit of time and, you know, but I think it's a great opportunity. You know, it's a simple, effective opportunity to convey your message without, you know, selling. You know,
absolutely. No one likes to be directly sold to, but this is a bit of fun at the end of the day, you know, and that you know, we work hard, but you know, we are fun people at the end of the day too. And it does give a real insight. And you know, someone in marketing might not know that there's a new product launch within sales in you know, this division.
So as we were saying, it gives an opportunity for existing staff to meet existing staff and find out a bit more about the business, because when you've got 400 or 500 people, you can't every day communicate to them individually. Just finishing up, what do you love about your role?
Oh, it's such a cliche.
I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah, I know. It feels very strange being this side. The people are just fabulous. They really are. And I know, you know, and that's probably the answer, or it should be the answer that people give when asked that question. But it's the people. They are wonderful. The opportunity that I've been given has been fabulous. You know, I've been able to come in from an empty desk and build something with the support of my, you know, team, from my HR director, Stuart, from Ben, from Mark, and put something in place that I'm really proud of with their support. So, yeah, I'm really, really happy that in the respect that I've been given an opportunity to create that recruitment platform, and also to be able to show people what I have been able to see over the years, that it is a great place and it is a growing and it is a forward-thinking company, and to really sort of shine that torch. So yeah, I'm really, it's a great place to be, and the people are just fabulous.
Yeah, and I think that definitely comes across through this conversation, also through the, as I said, through the series that you do online as well, which is great. And just sort of finally, what for the next 12 months, what are sort of your sort of key objectives, I guess, you individually as an internal recruitment manager and for the business? What's the growth pattern?
Oh, well, every day is different in recruitment. So it's really hard to think about the bigger picture, but ultimately what I would like to do is to see us, you know, being even more inclusive, even more diverse, and implementing lots of things that I'm learning, because, you know, I'm always learning about how to be better. I think I mentioned before, I went on a conference last week, and I'm always coming back into the office with, I've got this idea, let's do this. I do think the team will grow because we've just taken on another event. We've got another acquisition. There's always going to be more and more
Sure.
and more. And like I said, I think we're at around 470 now when it comes to employees. So we're definitely going to be getting bigger. But I would like to definitely just take the recruitment to the next level to make sure that, we can look and be really proud, because this first year has been implementation. It has been, ironing out those tweaks. And, I'm still not getting it right all the time. There are still things that I think, oh, okay, I need to do that better. But I would like to think in 12 months' time, we're in a really, really good place. And we are seen as a company where, they are doing what they say they're doing. And, we are really even more transparent. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. We wish you the best of luck. And I'm sure we look forward to hearing more from you on social. So Claire Wise, Internal Recruitment Manager at Mark Allen Group, thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much.